So yeah, let's start with defining resiliency. Typically, when we think of resiliency, we always think about how quickly we can get back up and running. So that's the response side of the equation. But I firmly believe that resilience includes also the proactive side of it, which we should really prevent outages and incidents from happening in the first place. So just let's start with that resiliency encompasses both proactive elements as well as reactive elements. One recent incident that made the news was a ransomware attack at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, UMMC, this past week, where they detected a ransomware attack. Their systems were down. They had the severe access to their health record systems, which really kind of forced staff to go back to pen and paper. They closed their clinics statewide. So there was disruption to access to healthcare in Mississippi for UMMC specifically. So these incidents will happen. It's not if they happen, but it's when they'll happen. So as a result, we always have to be ready. The book's main point was that the complexity and the high stakes nature of industries like healthcare requires a shift in mindset of resilience. We need to move away from component-based narrow definition of resilience and adopt a more kind of a systemic view of resilience, where a system is greater than the sum of its parts. So from a resilience perspective, all healthcare organizations must switch their view from a narrow focus on just technology and technology operations to more kind of systemic that encompasses not only technology piece, but also overall business operations, as well as the human aspect of resilience. So there wasn't really a single aha moment for us to kind of put this or publish this ebook, because our platform is typically a mission critical platform for healthcare organizations. So resilience has always been top of mind for us at many levels. But if I were to pick some incidents that kind of reinforced our existing focus on resilience, was definitely Change Healthcare back in 2024. This organization called Change Healthcare that not too many people knew about was handling a great majority of the back processing of healthcare transactions. So as a result, doctors could not, as a result of the incident, doctors could not provide care, pharmacies could not fill prescriptions, insurance companies could not process claims. So the failure of that one single company and its impact on day-to-day citizens and the care that they receive or they could not receive, was a obviously a big impact and big moment in terms of resiliency. Second, types of incidents have been over the summer. There have been some outages with some of the cloud service providers, such as Microsoft Azure, AWS. So they also reinforce our point that healthcare organizations must prioritize resilience, must invest in resilience, and that should happen from top to bottom, from the CEO level all the way to individual contributors. So, like I said, while there are no single specific aha moments, certainly there have been incidents that that reinforced our focus on resilience. Moving from reactive to proactive resilience strategies start with, first and foremost, the mindset shift. As I mentioned before, we need to move away from narrowly focused component-based resilience to a systemic or system theoretic view of resilience. And then the resilience programs must include diverse stakeholders, not only the IT team, not only the technology team or the adjacent groups, but all relevant stakeholders must be included in the program. And then once we have the critical mass in the room, then the next step would be to create a hierarchical mapping of all the components within the healthcare system and their relationships. Because again, the component view only focuses on a single component, but the systemic view not only focuses on the individual components, but also the interactions and relationships between those components. So that diagram and mapping is key. Then the resiliency program must identify unsafe actions, and then they also must identify loss scenarios so that they can kind of go through almost like a traditional kind of threat modeling scenario where they should identify those loss scenarios and then discuss what could happen, how can we withstand these types of outages or these types of attacks. So those are the immediate steps that a healthcare organization can take when they move from reactive to proactive resiliency. Okay, socio-technical system concept in simple terms, and I'm going to really simplify it. And I'll ask you all to think about a thermostat. Right? Thermostat, it regulates the temperature in our house. Some set points are set, and then if the temperature goes below that set point, it starts working, and then once it reaches that set point, it stops. And then the residents of the house can set those set points, and certainly they are the recipients of the benefits of a comfortable temperature in the house, as well as the harms if those temperatures are not comfortable for them. So this is a very simple example for a socio-technical system, right? It just does not have the technology piece, but also the human interaction. So we combine the two, and then we have socio-technical systems. Our healthcare enterprises are certainly complex socio-technical systems. We can certainly extrapolate those like fundamental elements from the thermostat example and extrapolate to healthcare enterprises. There's tremendous amount of technology in healthcare organizations. There's a tremendous amount of specialized skills and knowledge in healthcare organizations. However, at the same time, there are a lot of clinicians work in healthcare organizations. Certainly, there are patients, there are vendors. So it is a very highly complex, high stakes environment. So in a nutshell, going back to the examples that I provided, socio-technical systems are the combination of the technical as well as the human aspects of an overall system. Biggest misconceptions that healthcare IT leaders have about resilience. I would not really call these misconceptions, but the traps that healthcare IT leaders must avoid. One is treating resilience solely as a technical problem. Certainly, because of its nature, IT teams and IT leaders may lose sight of the human aspect of resilience. And it's really easy to kind of focus on the technology aspect. So that's kind of one trap that that healthcare IT leaders should avoid. And I think in healthcare IT, many leaders are highly aware of the criticality of the services that they provide, compared to other industries. So I think we are in a good spot there. The second trap would be over reliance on single vendors. Um, Diversification is key. So, for example, if you operate with a single cloud service provider, it may be a good idea to diversify that infrastructure in case um, the main provider suffers an outage. Similarly, you might think that, okay, I have a communication feature in our electronic health record system. We can start to rely on that for clinical communications. But what if that platform goes down and you need a plan B? So what is that plan B? So it may be wise to, again, invest in maybe a dedicated communication platform solution, just to as a contingency in case that embedded feature in the EHR is no longer available. So those two traps are things that healthcare IT leaders must avoid. Okay, what's the immediate next thing that healthcare IT leaders should do for resilience to get out of the damage control mode? Really simple. Get your executive support behind you. Reach out to all your relevant stakeholders. Get around the table and start mapping your hierarchical model diagram. Let's start with that, and then the rest will naturally come and contribute towards building a system theoretic resiliency program in your healthcare organization. Banyan business continuity. This feature can be a lifesaver when either your internet service provider suffers an outage, where your access to the internet may be disrupted, or your cloud service provider suffers an outage where you cannot really access to the your systems in the cloud. Our Banyan platform already has built-in resiliency features, not only the resiliency features inherent in the cloud platform itself, but also from an architectural perspective, the way we built the Banyan platform provides high availability and high resilience. That being said, in case access to the platform or access to the cloud service provider gets disrupted, then Banyan allows local survivability. What we mean by local survivability is that the Banyan will immediately take a snapshot of the caller directory at the time of the outage. So clinicians can still access and find other clinicians in their facility. At the same time, calling functionality still will be available, so clinicians can call each other and place calls and continue to discuss care for their patients with other clinicians. Um, uh, in a, again, very high stakes environment, continuity of care, continuity of operations is paramount. And Banyan Business Continuity Service is a way to resume operations or continue the operations in case of a technology outage. And what would healthcare organizations, what should they ask about resilience to their vendor? I think it's pretty simple. If I were to summarize it to one sentence, what is your RTO, recovery time objective, and prove to me that you can meet that. So I think that's the single most important question. I highly recommend that resiliency is not covered just only within vendor risk management processes, just kind of as a checkbox, but healthcare organizations must go in the weeds and better understand the preparedness and the resilience program at their vendors. Okay. What should senior management in healthcare organizations prioritize with resilience, and how can they make it their core value? Well, in the healthcare sector, all leaders are well aware of the criticality of resilience. That being said, it should be a central pillar of their business strategy. Resilience must get attention, focus, as well as resources. Um, all senior leaders, not just the CIO, must be accountable for resilience. And the tone for the resilience must be set at the top from the CEO, should trickle all the way down to individual clinician. One example, not from the healthcare industry, but in the 80s, Alcoa's CEO launched a campaign for zero safety incidents. And as a result, Alcoa reduced the safety incidents by double digits, as well as their functional efficiency went up. So typically, this is interesting because typically, maybe this is a misconception that we were talking about earlier. The misconception is that when we invest in security or resiliency, there's friction and the operational efficiency would go down. However, the Alcoa experiment or experience showed us that, in fact, functional efficiency went up when the senior leadership and the company as a whole focused on zero safety incidents. So I think that's a good example. And again, constant, not once in a while, not once after a major incident happens, but the resilience requires constant attention, focus, and resources from the senior leadership. Okay, creating a safety culture where staff feeling safe about reporting incidents or outages. This topic is really near and dear to my heart because in Mobile Heartbeat, with our cybersecurity program, we follow Sidney Decker's just culture principles. And we do not blame our colleagues. We do not point fingers. We first look inwards, like what was wrong in our program that allowed or made our colleagues acted the way they did. So first we look at our program. That's our first place to look at for issues, for errors, etc. Not the user. We don't blame. So it's similar with the safety program. Just culture mandates that user blaming is not working. It's not the right way to go about it. Systemic view of resilience requires not to blame users, but have a very critical view of the system, our processes, our controls, and focus on that and eliminate the circumstances, conditions, or other factors that that made our employees act the way they did, rather than just blaming them. So this way, it goes a long way to accomplish, to establish a culture where colleagues feel comfortable about speaking up and basically providing bad news. And as leaders, we also want to get those news unfiltered, because time is of the essence in these situations, and the more comfortable that staff will feel about reporting bad news, reporting incidents, the easier and the quicker that we will respond to those kinds of adverse situations. How do we make the business case for resilience investments when leadership is focused on immediate clinical needs? Well, it's really simple. Immediate clinical needs rely on resiliency. Without strong resiliency, there is no patient care. There's no safe and sustainable continuous patient care. There could be tons of disruptions. Certainly, there will be legal and financial impacts, as well as the organization's reputation will suffer. So it should really be easy to secure the resources and the focus from the senior leadership towards resiliency, because if their focus is on providing clinical care, then resiliency should be top of mind. Okay, what keeps me up at night when it comes to healthcare technology resiliency this year in 2026 and beyond? Two risks: concentration risk and vendor risk. So we mentioned both of them previously when I gave a couple of examples of incidents and outages. What really these incidents make me think is that what other change healthcares that we don't know about that handle a very critical piece of the healthcare system, whose outage would impact well-being and healthcare of millions of individuals. So that's what keeps me up at night. Recently, I saw somewhere this phrase where it says, "Innovation is loud, but failures are silent." So when there's kind of new technology, new innovation, everybody around us is hyped up. Management cannot wait to bring in the new technology, a new shiny toy, and that's really loud, right? That's everywhere. Everybody's talking about innovation. However, when things don't go as planned or there are failures, either they're not disclosed or they're kept under wraps and they're silent. So I recommend transparency because we can learn so much from each other. Organizations should not really kind of go through this alone. We are all in the same boat. If one organization is impacted, one healthcare enterprise or hospital is impacted, all of us are impacted. So we're all in the same boat. So it would be great to kind of learn from lessons across the industry when it comes to resilience, and it should not be a stigma to share those experiences, and we all should approach carefully to new technologies. We should resist the urge to kind of jump on the hype and implement them, but first we should look into the risks that they introduce and how we can prevent or detect incidents that may emerge from that new technology.